Welcome back to the Road Show. This morning in the Buzz, Rhode Island is under a flood watch as another storm moves into the area. It's expected to dump several inches of rain. Local rivers could once again spill their banks, and with many people still recovering from historic floods this month, they're bracing for the worst once again. Take a look.
Worried about the river rising again. We got flooded out last time over here, and just turning on my pumps and keeping my fingers crossed.
If the storm materializes to the extent that they think it might, meaning 6 inches of rain, that's going to cause major flooding again. That's still a contingency. I mean, that may not happen. But it's certainly giving a lot of, causing a lot of agita, if you will, to the city officials, especially West Warwick, Cranston, the usual places where we get heavy rain and flooding.
I have to say I love that he worked in the word agita there. Steve Cass, as he just said, it's these same areas in West Warwick and Cranston that are always affected. And, you know, I know we're talking about the flooding, but I have to say, just, you know, our producer Ashley last week on Friday was just in this fog. I think we all are, because there was such nice weather, you know, for a little while there. And then all of a sudden, here we are battling the rains again. It kind of zaps your energy. You know, you don't feel like it's spring. And then these poor people who are living by the rivers are worried. One guy who said this morning he had 6 pumps going.
Yeah, let's defer to the expert here about what the heck is going on.
I think, you know, the frustration level is really going up because of just the frequency of we're talking about the potential now for the third flooding event in as many weeks. You know, history has shown that the Patuxent River, for example, you know, floods, but the frequency has been pretty unusual, and why folks are just having a hard time dealing with this. As soon as you clean up and, you know, start filling out insurance forms, you know, you're talking about floods all over again.
Well, here's what I was wondering, and I've talked about this the last time. You know, I'm wondering, why is it that people are living in these areas that are so frequently flooded? Because I would be concerned about, you know, your memories, you know, your belongings, and also your property value. If you ever wanted to sell that house, or could you find a buyer? Would it be worth anything? I mean, you have some experience in that.
I grew up along the Patuxent River, so one of the flood-prone areas is a village called Natick, and it's just, you know, it's loyalty. The people have been lived in that neighborhood for 40, 50 years, and, you know, generation after generation of folks have lived in that village, and, you know, their roots are deep. They don't want to leave.
Has this always been a problem there?
Yeah, you know, for instance, you know, 79, 82, 1983, 2005, and of course the one from 3 weeks ago. You know, it has a history of major flooding, but you know, people weather it, and you know, they want to stay in their homes. They don't want to leave. They've had grandparents and parents who have lived there, and the houses get passed down from generation to generation. You know, I spend the better part of 30 years in Natick.
Do you think it's a good idea to build so close to a river in a flood zone?
You know, it depends on the structure of the land, and whether or not they say, for instance, the Army Corps of Engineers have made any kind of adjustments to the riverbed like they did in Natick and places like that. So you know, it's a risk. Whether you live near the ocean, you live near.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a risk.
I got to ask you about this. I'm going to go technical on you, T.
Okay.
All right. Is this an El Nino year?
Right now it is El Nino.
Okay, because I know my parents are in Florida, and it's been unreasonably cold down there. Weather has been different. Everything's just kind of off.
Yeah, rule of thumb, you don't retire to Florida in the wintertime during the El Nino year, because it tends to be wet and it tends to be cold.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Note to self. But the El Nino should be waning, which will be interesting to see how the summer plays out as far as the upcoming hurricane season.
Oh my gosh, I really hope, honestly, I hope for the sake of the people who live there, and also for all of us, because I felt like we really missed out on the summer last year.
Oh, did we ever?
The last two summers have been, you know, very wet and very cool, and with El Nino waning, that would bode well for perhaps a warmer and drier summer.
What's the forecast going to be on 4th of July?
Yeah, right. Tell us right now.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Thanks so much,
Tony. Thanks, Tony.
You know, Courtney, I'm sure that a lot of people who are joining us on our Facebook page this morning are maybe talking about the weather. Certainly a lot of people, everybody, just so everybody knows, Courtney's wearing her galoshes underneath that tech center.
She's got her waders on. Whoa, what a move right there. She was stretching all morning.
I was gearing up. It was a big moment for me. I wanted to show off my new rain boots. What can I say? I was waiting for it to rain, actually, so I'm sorry for all of you out there where it's pouring. I just got them. I've been waiting to wear them, so it's my fault. Since the blog still isn't working, our friends have joined us on Facebook, and they're weighing in. We have people who are affected and not affected by the flooding, so let's run through some comments. Aaron Scorpio says, luckily, no, I haven't been affected, but I grew up in Cranston near Patuxent. I always always saw flooding, but nothing like we saw a few weeks ago. She said she feels bad for the people that have been there and maybe hit again over the next day or so. And this one's from Gennaro Minded, and they said, yes, they were evacuated on the 13th of March, have been without their home and everything ever since. They say, I got a knock on my door midnight. I had to move my newborn, my sick wife, and niece. It's been a nightmare. And Shelley Cleary says, no, she hasn't been affected, but there has been some flooding in her backyard and the ponds there in Little Compton. But again, nothing compared to what they're seeing in Cranston. So if you do want to share with us, you can get on the Facebook page now. We'll be here about to the end of the show. We have a poll on our homepage as well, and we're asking, have you been affected by recent floodings? A, yes, my home has been hit with water. B, yes, my neighborhood has been flooded. Or C, no, fortunately, I haven't been affected. We also have a story there, too, about some residents bracing for potential flooding if you want to catch up on your rain news today. But I'll be back at the end of the show with those poll results to see where we all stand. For now, back to the kitchen. Lily, what